SaaS company with a small marketing team came to me and said, Sam, we've got 90 days to make SEO and AI search work. We need to start crushing our competitors and driving qualified pipeline with organic search. This is the exact 7-step strategy that I'd implement. In fact, at Breaking B2B, we follow this exact strategy to help dozens of B2B and SaaS companies drive millions in pipeline and revenue, so we know it works. Right, the first step is starting where you win already. It sounds straightforward, yet so many B2B and SaaS companies cast such a wide net when it comes to SEO, organic search, and marketing in general. They try to target too many prospects instead of looking at what's working already. So instead of trying to compete on everything, we need to drill into our unfair advantages. So think about things like, what are the aspects of our product or solution that dream clients love the most? What are the industries we've historically sold really well into? What are the use cases that are most relevant for our product or solution? And what are the most expensive, frustrating problems these dream clients come to us to fix and solve? So the best way to find the industries and use cases that you've historically sold well into is to do just that. Look into your CRM, your sales data. Look into those ones that you've sold well into, that have got that expensive problem that you fix, are motivated to fix it, have cash to easily invest in the offer, drive great revenue and profit margins for your business, and you can see that you've considerably sold a chunk into in the past. So maybe that could be recruitment, it could be HR, it could be fintech, it could be sports, it could be something else. Go through the data and see what makes sense when it comes to those industries and also those use cases. When it comes to pulling the features and aspects of your product or solution that customers love the most, one of the best ways is to listen into customer success or support calls. So if you record those calls with a tool like Fathom, Gong, or similar, chuck those call transcripts into a tool like ChatGPT and ask it to pull up the most common things, the most common patterns when you're talking about features, use cases, and similar. So you can start looking for those patterns and the things that are brought up the most, so you can really understand those features, those requirements, those aspects of your solution that customers really desire, really find useful, so you can double down on those. And to learn the expensive, frustrating, bleeding neck problems that your dream clients really care about solving, those stumbling blocks, their jobs to be done, that really critical information that's not just useful for SEO and organic search, it's super useful for your content strategy in general, for your messaging, for your ads, so they can resonate and hit home. I recommend diving into prospecting calls, sales calls, discovery calls. So whether that's your own calls as the founder or from your sales team, from your SDRs, your AEs and beyond. So you can pull a bunch of those call transcripts, again, throw them into an AI tool and then ask them to dive into when folks are talking about specific problems, specific frustrations, the impact of those problems, what happens if they don't fix them and their desired outcomes. Then you can look for the top 3, 4 juicy problems so they can start leveraging them for your content strategy, messaging, and much more, because you know they're top of mind, they're common for your ICP, and they need to be doubled down on. And the reason we do this is it becomes the foundation of the SEO, the organic strategy, and it really should be the foundation of your B2B marketing play in general. Step 2 is building a moat like none of your competitors have done before. This is all about mapping out the exact search terms, queries, or prompts that your dream clients are going to be searching for when they're in buying mode, looking for your solution, or comparing you against other vendors, so we can capture that 5% of the market that's in buying mode right now. And one of my favorite ways to do this is with a money keyword matrix. Essentially build out 4 main columns within a Google Sheet or spreadsheet. Column 1 is every way that a dream client can refer to your offer or your solution. Column 2 is the industries that you serve best. It goes back to our research from step 1. Column 3 is the main competitors that always get brought up in sales calls. And column 4 is your dream client's problems, frustrations, and jobs to be done. So to give you an example, if we sold payroll software, column 1 might be every way someone can refer to our tools. So payroll software, payroll platforms, payroll tools, etc. Column 2 is the industries that we have historically sold well into, have the problem we solve, have the cash to get it done, and are motivated. That could be HR, it could be education, it could be fintech, it could be sports, it could be all those other industries that make sense. Column 3 is those competitors that always get brought up. So we have a client called Check Writers we work with in the software space. So their competitors might be ADP, Paychecks, and a bunch of others. And then column 4, what are those expensive problems, issues, or frustrations that could stop our dream clients from making progress? It could be things like How to prevent payroll fraud, how to manage bi-weekly payroll, what's the safest way to pay our HR company's employees, those kind of things, the questions, the queries, the issues that are getting brought up on sales calls time and again and have a solid impact that will raise a business case to invest in a solution like yours. And then you'll build these into money long tail keywords. So for example, ranking for best payroll software is going to be super competitive. So you might chip away at that for a long term with a landing page and possibly a listicle based article. But whilst you're trying to do that, in the shorter term, you might rank using some of your industries. So weaving in your payroll term plus an industry, i.e. best payroll software for HR teams or best payroll software for sales teams and so on. And likewise, the competitor strip of things, super good, as we know most companies evaluate 3-4 vendors on a shortlist before they buy, or some folks will be annoyed with their current vendor looking for alternative solutions. So they might search for things like Paychex alternatives or ADP alternatives or Paychex versus ADP or ADP pricing. And those kind of articles are a great way to say, look, this is where these competitors, we hear them fall short. This is an alternative solution, which is our product. This is why customers choose us. Here's some case studies of why folks switched over to us. This is where we fall short, but this is why a lot of folks opt to use us. Here's some social proof, some more client quotes, testimonials, and here's a clear call to action to get in touch or take a next step. And then likewise on the problems, the jobs to be done, the fourth column, that's all about saying, look, we know you're facing this problem, so how to prevent payroll fraud. These are some ways in that article you can talk about of how you could cobble it together in-house, but this is going to take a lot of time, energy, resource. The alternative is to use a software or solution like ours. We're going to save you this many hours per week. Here's some feedback from real clients on how much time we saved, how many issues we saved them, and why they didn't have to worry about any potential black holes when it comes to legality and all those kind of issues and worries that you leverage from customer research within that article or page. And then you can show your product as a painkiller with plenty of product imagery, GIFs, examples, and showing your aha moment of your solution or product with a clear call to action for the next stage. And the goal here is to absolutely exhaust every single keyword, search, or prompt that a dream client might be searching for when they're looking for a solution like yours. Before we jump into step 3, if you lack the resources or expertise to manage this in-house, or you simply want to fast track results without the trial and error, grab a call with me over at breakingb2b.com or hit the first link in the description below. Right, back to the video. Step 3 is crafting and improving. So once we know these money, bottom of funnel, high sales intent search terms that we want to start ranking for, we need to know the types of page that we should build in order to rank effectively. So one of the easiest ways to do this is called understanding search intent. So from a Google point of view, that would be just Googling some of these money keywords and seeing what type of page Google favors, aka what tends to rank the most. Is it a listicle? And that could be things like, we evaluated the top 10 payroll softwares of 2025. Is it a landing page? And that could just be payroll software for HR companies. Is it an article? And that might be more along the jobs to be done problem-based way, i.e. how to prevent payroll fraud, or is it a different type of page? So once you know the type of page that Google favors, then I like to use something called a blow out the water strategy. So we don't tend to over-index on technical SEO until sites get to thousands of pages, and most B2B tech and SaaS companies tend to not have that much content. They tend to be pretty light on content. So as long as you've got a fast load speed and you follow SEO basics, aka when it comes to technical SEO, making sure things like your money target keyword is within your URL, making sure it's within your meta title and description, making sure you've only got one H1, one heading, one tag that has that money keyword within it, and then likewise it's evenly within your content, but you're not stuffing it, you're naturally weaving it in there, and your pages you build out have 4 to 5 internal links to relevant pages and vice versa, other pages linking back to you. And that's some of the main considerations I recommend when it comes to technical SEO. You're much better off focusing on getting this commercial content out the door. A quick thing to understand from an LLM point of view is, unlike Google that pulls up website pages, LLMs actually chunk content. So they're pulling bits and pieces of content from various sources of the web. That could be from web pages, that could be from external third-party sites like Quora or Reddit or even Wikipedia. So instead of pulling information from one full web page, they're bringing up insights from various sources, and sometimes those will get cited and you'll be able to click those small links externally. So when you're building out your pages, especially if you want them to be found easily by LLMs, you've you want to make sure, one, you're going through that money keyword strategy that we talked about, and making sure you're covering every single use case, industry, niche, and much more that your prospects could be potentially searching for. But by following the blow out the water strategy, you can do things like leveraging customer research, making sure, for example, if we're building out a landing page, that we're perhaps using the problem, agitation, solution framework. So as a real example, perhaps we saw that what's ranking well already is one of our competitors' landing page, and maybe they have a quick intro, they've got their process, maybe a little bit of social proof or testimonial, then some light FAQs. We might think, well, first and foremost, let's leverage our customer research here. So we'll give a quick intro. We'll talk about you're probably facing X, Y, and Z problems, which is leveraged from our customer sales and research calls. These are the impact of not fixing it. This is what happens if you don't get the job done. This is exactly how our product or solution is equipped to fix it. Here's 3 examples and use cases. We'll walk you through our process. At the top, we've probably got a YouTube video embedded, which tends to help with both search and LLMs. They can pull those up as well, kind of walking through the process. We've got plenty of visuals of our product or our solution clicking into play, that aha moment of when it serves into play. We've got lots of social proof of relevant customer case study videos of why they chose us. They were facing the exact pain point we're talking about, the frustrations, the impact of it, and why they eventually kind of chose to work with us, and the advantage we've brought to the table. As we scroll down, we've got more about our process, features, why customers choose us over competitors, and then an FAQ section at the bottom, but not generic FAQs. We're thinking about exact customer problems, those juicy queries that most companies are scared to address. So for example, on Breaking B2B, on our SaaS SEO agency landing page, we might talk about things like, why are you so expensive? Why should we choose you over another competitor? Do you palm me off to a junior account manager as soon as you sell me? How long does it take? Someone told me SEO takes 12 months. So addressing those expensive questions, those tricky questions head on, because 1, that makes good search content, and 2, it speeds up sales cycles because you're addressing those questions that folks really care about. And remember, on Google, someone might search for best payroll software, but on an LLM like ChatGPT, they might type something like, I'm a CMO at a HR company, I've got 50 sales reps, I need this piece of software with these features for this use case. I need it with this timeline. I need to compare 3 to 4 vendors via price, functionality, and ratings. Show me those top 3 vendors. So it's a lot more of an advanced prompt, and that's why you need to really exhaust all those potential use cases, niches, features, and more when you're building out pages and when you're building out content for your website, and make sure it's super well chunked up so it's easy for tools to read through and quickly get the information they need. So content split up with bullet points, subsections. It's leveraging that customer research. It's really going into things that dream clients ask for on sales calls, all around problems they might be encountering, use cases they're looking to solve for, and making sure it's really diving into all those insights you've pulled from your customer research. So problems they might be facing, issues they might be encountering, use cases they might need, features they might be searching for, and much, much more. So you have more chance to be brought up for those detailed queries. Plus, if you're able to leverage things like unique research, stats, or data, that's another thing that LLMs love to pull up. And last point here, and probably the quickest win, is you might already have existing pages that are already ranking for some of these money bottom of funnel keywords. So you can use a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, and you can evaluate those pages that are already perhaps ranking at the bottom of page 1 or maybe page 2 when it comes to Google for some of these money terms. And those will be the quickest time to value that you can get. So look at those, compare them to what's ranking already, and look for ways that you completely blow those pages out of the water. So maybe it's a refresh, maybe it's adding in a relevant YouTube video walkthrough, maybe adding some more social proof, maybe if it's a landing page, for example, you add some more FAQs, answering real questions from sales calls, maybe you dive into your process a bit more, you chunk up the content so it's easy for LLMs to pick up, you go into more specific use cases, or if it was a product listicle, like we evaluate the top 10 payroll softwares of 2025, maybe you add 5 more options. You're probably going to position your tool number 1, but make sure you're pulling insights from customers like the pros, the cons they care about, the features they specifically care about, why they opt for you, again, some relevant social proof and much more, so you can completely blow out the water anything that's being pulled up already. And step 4, and right now at the time of recording, this seems to be an absolute cheat code for LLMs and getting visibility in LLMs consistently, is getting featured regularly in product listicles. So to show you an example, if I am to go to ChatGPT and search for best proposal software as a quick example, we can see my friend's Proposify ranking nicely here. our client Proposify, and we can see, look, if we look at the sites that are mentioned, that are cited, I can see Better Proposals are citing Proposify within their listicle. So a comparison of the top 10. What else have we got? We can see something from Wikipedia. I can see another listicle by Infotech. Another one, SmartVault, the top 8 proposal software, so another listicle, and then Quilla, 11 best proposal management software tools for 2025. And this isn't a one-off. Quite a lot of the time, if you're looking for high sales intent commercial terms, best X software, show me the best X tools, show me the best X agencies. Could be service-based, it could be software-based, could be SaaS-based. All those kind of high sales intent bottom of funnel terms. Oftentimes, they're pulling from product listicles. So if you can be consistently cited in these product listicles, like the top 10 softwares, top 10 agencies, top 10 solutions, whatever's relevant for your industry, it's almost a cheat code to gain visibility in LLMs. So I'd recommend reverse engineering it. Go onto ChatGPT, go onto other LLMs, search for as many different queries or prompts around your category that have high sales intent at the bottom of the funnel as possible. Look for those product listicles, those articles, top 10, top 15, etc., that keep getting cited, and then look to reach out to them. Many of these you'll be able to get featured on without paying a dime by doing a value exchange. So you can jump onto the article, the product listicle, reach out to the author. I recommend using LinkedIn if they're active on LinkedIn. So find them on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of painfully short messages that pique the curiosity gap. So let's pretend someone called Sophie maybe wrote an article we've just found. So I'd find her on LinkedIn. I'd drop her a painfully short connection request like, hey Sophie, had a weird idea for your proposals article. Are you against the chat? Something painfully short like that piques the curiosity gap. And then when she connects, I probably have her LinkedIn profile in the background, then maybe flick over to the article page itself and just say, enjoyed this article, stumbled upon it recently. Actually had a bit of a weird idea where we could probably get some PR, get some SEO, get some LLM optimization flowing each other's way. So perhaps we could feature you in our own article or guest post, or maybe we could feature you in our podcast, or something that's a value exchange that's low lift, whether it's a guest article, whether it's adding you to one of their listicles, whether it's maybe giving them a shout out on LinkedIn, some kind of simple free value exchange where you get featured in a list and you give them something back. And if you can do that process on a consistent basis and also do it through Google as well, so again, Google those bottom of funnel money search terms, look for all those listicles that keep being cited. And if your brand name plus your category can be consistently cited in those listicles that are brought up both on Google and LLMs, it's going to really ramp up your visibility. Plus, I'd recommend asking for a backlink to one of your money keywords and pages, so you almost get two hits. You get the SEO value and you get the LLM value. And do not forget building your own, so having your own listicles on your own website. So all of those best X software, best X agency, best X solution, and so on. You own those for your own website. So build out your own listicles. By all means, feature your own brand as number one, but don't slate the other 9, 10 or more competitors. Give a fair assessment of those. Make sure you double down on your own listings. So again, leverage customer insights, why folks choose you, the pros, the cons. Maybe you add a bit about pricing, but plenty of visuals of your product in action, customer quotes of why they chose you or why they switched to you, and so on. And that way you're building more lines in the water, and you've got more chances for that article to rank on both Google and get picked up by the LLMs. And then at step 5, we've got leveraging past media. There's a bunch of ways you can do this, but one of my favorites is to find the exec from your team. Maybe that's your founder, marketing leader, revenue leader, someone else. Maybe it's yourself who has done a lot of press, a lot of podcast guesting, maybe article features or more in the past. Grab their LinkedIn profile URL, jump into a tool like Ahrefs, copy and paste it in, hit the backlinks tab within your SEO tool, and then you can look at all the websites that have linked specifically to your exec's LinkedIn profile. And I'd probably filter those via domain ratings, just look at the most reputable sites first, and then look at the ones that are actually relevant to your niche. You don't really want to necessarily go on ones that are not relevant at all. So try and focus on ones with some solid domain rating that are relevant to your industry. And then what I do is I'd probably make a quick spreadsheet or quick list of the ones that are relevant with a good domain rating. And I'd look to reach out to them. So the good thing is this can almost give you 2 hits in one, is LLMs don't actually care about backlinks so much. They care more about brand mentions. So that's why listicles are so great, because the listicles are about the best solutions for your category. They'll mention the category itself and then potentially your brand name if you get a placement in them. And this is a similar thing. So if you've got articles that are relevant to your niche, if you can see that those articles are already linking to your exec's LinkedIn profile, then again, you can do that outreach strategy we talked about earlier, find whoever the author was, reach out to them with that painfully short message, then a customized loom or just a customized message. And you can do a similar strategy to what we talked about before in terms of outreach. You can say, thanks very much for including our exec in this recent page. Wonder if you could do a quick tweak and actually mention our category and our brand. So in the proposal software space, it might be Proposify or a proposal software tool or proposal software platform. And then you could also request a backlink. So you get 2 hits in one. You get the brand mention to help with LLMs, and you also get the backlink to give some SEO juice from a Google organic point of view. And this is one of the quickest wins that I know to get both solid backlinks and brand mentions, one of the fastest ways to make it happen. In at 6, we've got control the narrative. So LLMs and Google, they love to cite sites like Reddit and Quora. In fact, I think Quora is one of the most cited websites on LLMs as it stands. So a great tip here is to make a process whereby someone from your team checks each day, or there's plenty of tools that you can set up whereby you get alerts when there's relevant threads, subreddits, etc. to your niche. So ours might be when anyone's asking queries around SaaS SEO, B2B SEO, B2B SaaS SEO, someone's maybe asking for recommendations on a B2B SaaS SEO agency, or so on. We can then look to find those subreddits and be genuinely valuable. You don't want to be too salesy at all. You want to actually be useful, answer questions, leverage your past experience, and mention your brand where relevant, but probably not relevant each and every time. And the good thing about that is if you are able to mention your brand, those can then get pulled up in LLMs and be cited quite a bit. You'll see those in results, and likewise they can be pulled up on Google. And a similar tactic for Quora. Another one here is to get your founder or maybe yourself or someone else from your team to start guesting on niche relevant podcasts. A site that I plug a bunch on here is listennotes.com. Love that site because you can literally just type in one of your target industries or target niches. So for mine, if I type B2B marketing, I can see the top shows that fall under the B2B marketing niche. Yours might be something completely different, whether that's fintech, finance, healthcare, whatever's relevant to your target audience that might be they might be tuning into. Type that in, and then you can filter to the top shows within that industry. So for example, on B2B marketing, I can see the Breaking B2B podcast, our show listed top there. And then you can see all the shows, you can see the top 10, 5, 2, 1% shows, and you can also see who hosts them. And then you can do a very similar strategy to the outbound strategy we talked about before with the unusual message, and then customize Loom video once they accept on LinkedIn or whatever channel is relevant. So do a very similar thing, but instead talk about their podcast, the value that you could add to the show, why they should consider you. And then for all of those, make a cadence of applying to 5, 10 of these each week. You get a decent hit rate if you followed that customized strategy that we outlined for the outbound strategy. And then why bother? Well, podcasting gives you so many hits in one. One, it exposes you to their audience, so you can get more following both on your social, maybe your newsletter, and so on. It builds thought leadership, so you become trusted. If someone's listening or watching you for 20, 30, 40 minutes, it builds up that extra layer of trust. Thirdly, when the host of the show actually publishes the podcast article, you can get 2 hits. So you can get a backlink to one of your money pages and keywords. Also ask for a brand mention, so your company and your category, and that can give you a little uptick on the LLMs. And you can even get direct leads, demos, and signups by featuring on these shows. We've had a bunch of booked calls for Breaking B2B just by me featuring on relevant B2B marketing and SaaS marketing shows, and trying to be as useful, helpful as possible when it comes to sharing SEO, SaaS marketing, and B2B marketing tips that's working today. And last point on this step, if you have the resources and you have the time, I think about setting up your own podcast and YouTube channel so you can start appearing, one, when folks are searching for solutions, questions, problems, etc. around your niche. You can start showing up both on YouTube and on the podcast channels to be a useful resource to start building trust and mindshare in your category over time. And you can also use these podcasts as a bit of an ABM, an account-based marketing play, whereby you set up interviews with your target account list, you look to build a relationship with those, and over time, some of those might become prospects or even referral partners, or much, much more. Plus, having your own YouTube show or podcast becomes a big content marketing flywheel, because that asset can then source a bunch of media off the back of it, i.e. you can chop the long form video up for short clips on social, your guests can then share it, you can share it, You can then make a dedicated article and blog post on it. You can chop it up into custom quotes, visuals, sliders for LinkedIn, and so much more. Now, step 7 is the most important thing to bear in mind, especially if you want to see impact as quick as 90 days from publishing content, and that is speed. Speed will help you beat the slow-moving giants in your sector. So, why should you think about speed? Well, on the flip side, a lot of the giant competitors, the mid-market and enterprise monsters, those giant competitors in your industry, whilst they might take up market share, they tend to move pretty slow when it comes to an SEO, organic and content marketing play. Reason being is they have multiple levels of management, legal, finance, and much more approvals and hoops to jump through. If you're a smaller, scrappier, agile, leaner marketing team, you can get stuff done way quicker. So as an example, if a mid-market enterprise or beyond company wanted to build out a new content strategy and maybe make some new page updates or publish some net new pages, there might be layers that they need to go through to get keyword research approval or topic approval, approve the copy for the page, eventually approve the designs, eventually pass it through to the web team, then that's all got to be checked, and it might be months until a page actually gets published. And here's your advantage. As a smaller, faster moving, lean marketing team, you can do all this way quicker. So you can go through all these 7 steps we've talked about, working out exactly who you should be targeting, those main features, those main industries, those use cases, those problems, working out where you want to win those money, keywords and prompts, working out the type of pages and content you need to build, blowing any existing content out of the water, leveraging past media, getting featured on those listicles. You can do this at a cadence that's way quicker than the slow moving giants. So set up something at a quick pace that your team can stick to, whether that's publishing or updating X amount of pages per week that follows this process, applying to X amount of podcasts, or building out X amount of listicles or featuring on X amount of listicles, or so on. And if you can do this aggressively, this is how you can start chipping away at those big competitors, especially if you're trying to fight off a smaller segment. So they might be winning in certain industries, but with your content strategy, you might be chipping away at industries that they're neglecting. And this works especially well if there's specific industries, niches, or use cases that the giant competitors are neglecting, because by doing this all aggressively, the content, the brand mentions, the link building side, the press side, you can start chipping away there, and you can start getting ahead of them both in Google organic search and visibility in the LLMs. And this is going to build a compounding effect. You're going to get more and more lines in the water, both on Google organic and LLMs, with all the new content and content updates and PR and link building and brand mentions that you're building out. But that evergreen effect where you show up not just now, but weeks, months, and years later, that content's giving evergreen, long-term value, and unlike paid media, you don't need to pay for every single click regardless of the outcome. So if you follow this 7-step framework, you'll be in good shape to start seeing impact as fast as 90 days from your SEO and organic marketing strategy. However, if you lack the expertise or lack the resources in-house and you want to start fast tracking SEO and LLM visibility, inbounds, pipeline, and revenue for your business, then why not grab a call with me over at breakingb2b.com. We can chat through your business, where you're at, where you'd like to get to, and see if we're a good fit to start ramping up pipeline from SEO and AI search. That's breakingb2b.com, or hit the link in the description below. Or if you're not ready, why not try my 90 days to revenue SEO playbook? Head over to breakingb2b.com and hit that newsletter tab to unlock it instantly. Or you can try out the Breaking B2B podcast for hundreds of interviews with SaaS marketing leaders, as well as SEO and B2B marketing tips and strategies. And with that, I shall catch you on the next one. Cheers.